Malcolm and Erica were on their way to Montana to surprise Malcolm's family with an unexpected visit. Malcolm hadn't informed anyone that they would be arriving, so that they would have no time to invite any annoying family members to hoard the house before him. Malcolm and Erica lived in Utah. They started their journey at around 6 in the evening. They had been driving on Route 89 for about 5 hours now. It was dark, and Malcolm hadn't seen any stores in the past few miles he drove already, and he didn't know what was up ahead either. Erica had been bugging him to stop the car and let her out for a quick stretch and breath of fresh air. "We'll stop at the next guest house or gas station." Like that's ever going to come. "Erica, look over there. I think I see a light." As Malcolm drove closer, they spotted a small deli. The lights were on and the shelves seemed to be full, and yes, Malcolm could see someone behind the counter. "We can stop here." Malcolm drove his car into the parking lot. The sign flickered as one of the letters turned off. Malcolm and Erica locked their cars and went inside the store. It was just an ordinary grocery store. Erica started scanning the shelves as soon as she stepped inside. The guy behind the counter waved at the couple. "Hiya there, how's everything going?" Malcolm gestured his hands. "Great." The couple walked through the 2 aisles in the middle of the store, looking through snacks. Erica picked up a few boxes of donuts and some chips, while Malcolm went to the back to get some juice. Erica was now looking at the candy bars. Just as she was about to pick one up, the guy from behind the counter walked down the aisle. "There's not another stoppage in miles. You might want to take a little more than that." Erica awkwardly smiled and said, "I think this will do." She turned and met Malcolm. They walked to the register together and bought their food. The man quickly packed everything and bid them farewell. He was polite. Erica walked out the door as Malcolm unlocked his car with his car keys. But when the two had reached around the store to the parking lot, they found all their car tires had been punctured, every single one. Erica held her head. "How are we going to get to Montana?" Malcolm quickly took out his phone. Unfortunately, the network was terrible. "Now how are we even going to get a tow truck down here? I don't even have a signal." Malcolm was going crazy. He walked around his car angrily. Someone did this. Looks like the tires were slashed. Erica looked around. There was no one in sight. "But Malcolm, there's no one around here." Just then, Erica widened her eyes. She turned her head to a rustle in the woods. "What was that?" she said, a little creeped out. It was in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere, and they were stranded. Malcolm was already headed back to the store. Erica quickly followed. "Let's go inside and ask the man. He'll probably know." "I knew you would change your mind. Back for more?" "No. Someone has punctured all our car tires. Would you, by any chance, know who could have done this?" "Puncture car tires? I don't know of anyone else who lives anywhere near here. Neither were there any other customers any time before or after you. You see, it's only me here. I live in the apartment upstairs and run the store on my own downstairs." "Then it must have been you, because this certainly couldn't have happened all by itself." Malcolm glanced at the name tag. "Maddox?" "Listen, sir, calm down. How can you say it was me when I was with you the whole time you were shopping here?" "This doesn't make any sense, Malcolm. He's right. We were all in the store at that time." "No, something is fishy. You must have security cameras installed. Show us the footage from the parking lot." "Sir, this is unbelievable. You know very well I was with you." Maddox was reluctant at first, but when Malcolm became infuriated, Maddox gave in. All right, I'll show it to you." Maddox turned the monitor around on the counter and played the security footage. Malcolm and Erica focused in on their car. They saw a hooded guy come into view. He punctured all the tires, looking here and there, until he stood up and looked straight at the camera. Malcolm and Erica were shocked. It was the same guy from the store, Maddox. They watched as Maddox smirked at the camera and waved before walking out of sight. Malcolm was enraged. He banged his fist on the counter. "I'm calling the police, you fraud! What kind of joke is this? You think you're some sort of prankster? You will pay for this. That was none other than you." "No, this can't be. It had to be someone else. I was with you." "You suppose we will believe your lies even after seeing the footage? You must have sneaked out when we were in the aisles." "You guys are mistaken. For the 100th time, it wasn't me. You open that mouth again, all you're gonna get is a knuckle sandwich." "Leave him, Malcolm. See if you can call the police." Just then, the door behind them opened and a customer entered through the door. Malcolm and Erica took a quick glance and turned back to deal with Maddox. Malcolm froze. The man that had entered was wearing a similar hoodie to the man they had just seen in the footage. Malcolm peered back again. He tried to get a look of the face, but the hoodie had obscured it. All Malcolm could make out was a crooked grin smeared across the man's face as he approached them. "What happened, Malcolm?" Erica turned around and gasped. She looked at the man wearing the hoodie, standing just an arm's length away from them. He started chuckling loudly, and he slowly lifted his hood. Malcolm and Erica was stunned to see it was the same guy from the footage. He had done this. But then, who was this behind the counter? With big, wide eyes, Erica and Malcolm switched back and forth, looking at the two identical men. The man behind the counter, that had been so anxious and fearful all this time, suddenly started cackling on, making Erica and Malcolm nervous. "These people are so gullible. This game isn't as fun as it used to be, brother." "Everything becomes old, brother. We're the ones who have to keep the fun alive. Perhaps we can get rid of this pair a new way today." Maddox and Mason were born to two loving parents that were delighted to have twin sons. They raised them well, teaching them never to leave the other side, to always be united and stand by each other and not to let anything come in between them. Maddox and Mason always played together. They ate together, they slept together. One couldn't be without the other. Their parents were happy to see that their sons had such a great bond. They didn't have to worry so much. They believed when they wouldn't be around, their sons wouldn't be deserted to live life alone. They would at least have each other, a trustworthy companion to grow old with. Things were happy and joyful at first, and discipline didn't have to come into the picture until the twins became a little older, and the mischief they made became greater. The twins had a strange attraction to seeing others in pain. It started out with small things, like when their mother fell down and they burst out laughing, to bigger things when their father got into an accident chopping some wood. On various occasions, the parents discovered animal remains around the woods of their small home. They assumed it was the work of wild animals, until one day they were horrified to discover it was the work of their sons. They disciplined the twins, grounded them to their rooms, and explained to them that hurting other beings, man or animal, was a heinous act. The twins didn't agree. They stood by one another and argued to defend their sides. "Mom, we were just having fun." "It's a game of ours, Dad. Didn't you say you wanted us to play together?" "Yeah, we made it up all on our own. Sometimes he catches them, and sometimes me. Remember that one time when a car stopped by the store, Maddox? We almost had that little one." "Yeah, Mason, that would have been fun. She was a girl too. If only we could have caught her." "Dibs on the fingers." "Fingers? Dibs on the eyeballs." The parents were worried seeing that the brothers not only helped and supported each other in good, but the most horrifying and dangerous, they supported each other in evil. The parents, of course, tried things the nice way, explaining through soft words and kind gestures. But soon, they had to think of ways to discipline their sons, because the twins were out of control. The parents had started to believe they were insane. The twins, on the other hand, had become sick of the constant interference and restriction their parents put on all their fun. That's when the twins schemed a plan to get it their way. They had to get rid of their obstacle. Maddox and Mason were only 8 when they became orphans. They lived in the middle of nowhere in this small house by the woods. They were homeschooled, they didn't know anyone around. They buried the remains out in the woods and returned to the house to start a new life, a fun life with each other. They looked out for one another. At first, they cleared out the food from their father's store. Then, they hunted for food in the woods. They brought water from the creek, and best of all, they played their favorite game every day. But as they got older, they knew things couldn't be pulled off like this any longer. They reopened their father's store and ended up making a lot of money from the few people that drove down the empty, long road. Because usually, they were all tourists. They had a decent amount of money in their bags and wallets. Every time a new customer came, Maddox and Mason got a chance to play another round of their game. Malcolm and Erica became nervous. They could sense trouble. Fortunately, Malcolm was a trained fighter, and Erica had picked up on a number of techniques over the years they had been together. They dodged off the brothers and ran into the woods. They could hear the 2 men running after them. Soon, Malcolm and Erica lost sight of them. They reached the creek. It was pitch dark, but they could see the water sparkling in the moonlight. "We can't stay here. They'll find us. What are we going to do? They probably have this whole area mapped out in their head. All we can do, keep running until we find help." Where did they go? Don't worry, brother. The game just got to the next level. Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.